anyone who knows me in just about any way, it's really no secret that I love this Zelda series. I mean, my picture for YouTube is Dark Link. These are games that I have been playing for years upon years, and as such, there are certain parts of the games that really stand out to me. And out of those things, what probably stands out the most are the bosses. Under no circumstances are many of these all that hard, but a lot of them are just plain fun, and as such, as you can tell by the title, I'll be talking about my top 10 favorite bosses for the Legend of Zelda series. Note, I will not be including bosses from Breath of the Wild or games in the series I have not played yet, obviously. So, if one of your favorite bosses doesn't show up, take that as your reasoning. Now, let's get on with it. For many, their first Zelda games were Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, maybe even the Minish Cap. But for me, it was two of the most infamous and panned games in the series. Spirit Tracks and the Phantom Hourglass. Now, are these games masterpieces in any way? No, they are really not. But do I still find them moderately enjoyable? Well, yeah, actually. And as such, the number 10 slot is taken by Stagnox. Stagnox is literally just a giant stag beetle. The part that makes him cool to me is definitely not his design, but instead it's the way you fight him. Let's look at this in perspective. When I got this game, I was around 5 years old, and I had just picked up the Nintendo DS. And you gotta remember, since I'm 5, having 2 screens is really freaking cool. And this boss fight is taking place on both screens at the same time. Now looking back at it, it's not all that awesome, but I still have that nostalgic feeling whenever I see this boss because of how much I just loved fighting him. And that's why he takes this slot. In many games and movies, there is a villain who is just plain insane. Some examples being Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, the Joker from Batman, and our character who fills our next slot, Zant from Twilight Princess, or Twilight Princess as I have it typed here. I am kinda sad I have to put him this low on the list because of how cool he is to me. Zant is a character you see a lot of in Twilight Princess, and he seems to be the big boss, the one pulling the strings and the stuff that's happening around Hyrule. Every time you see him, he brings some kind of devastation in his wake, but you never truly see his personality. Well, that is before your last encounter with him. Whilst giving his whole life story, which takes way too long by the way, he shows how absolutely insane he is by his rapid and random body movements, his laughing, etc. But obviously, due to him being on this list, he also has a very entertaining fight. He has multiple stages in his fight where he will teleport you to previous boss arenas, using different fighting styles with each area. This adds a lot of depth to the fight with him, and makes it a lot more tense than the other fights in the game. But one thing that stays constant through the entire fight, he is always laughing and flailing about. It's something about that makes me like him a little more than the rest. What do you get when you cross a Yeti and a terrifying monster that probably has the most effective jump scare in Zelda? You get Blizzetta. Look, I have to be straight with you. The boss itself isn't all that interesting to me. It is simply a game of tag if you replace tagging someone with hitting them upside the head with a giant iron ball. But that's besides the point. Before you actually get to this boss, you meet Yetta. Yetta is, well, a Yeti, and she is quite sick. And in normal Zelda fashion, your job is to help her out. But this time, your reward is a little bit different. She will let you enter the room where the piece of the mirror Twilight is. Nice, right? Well, I'll let the video be the rest of my script here. Enjoy. I don't know whose idea it was in Nintendo to make a very flamboyant man whose clothes are close to non-existent be a boss. But whoever they are, I love them. Girahim is definitely one of the most interesting bosses out there. He's a boss from Skyward Sword. And not only because you fight him 3 times. Speaking of which, I enjoy fighting him the first time. The rest of the times, not so much. But back on track. You know how I said Blizzetta had the best jump scare? Well, Girahim is the best at being just plain creepy. He's completely insane and hard to predict, and this is seen in his battle as well. He starts the fight by holding up his hand to block you, and if he does block your attack, he'll just straight up take your sword. You know how that sword is the eventual Master Sword? Well, yeah, maybe you learn to hold on to it better. Come on, Link, you had one job. Let me be honest here. With this boss, I just wanted to put something from A Link Between Worlds. I absolutely love the game, but honestly, this is the only boss I remember from it. Yuga Ganon is literally if Ganon and Girahim had a child. You think this is a joke? He's a big, buff, flamboyant man, but this time, he's a little artsy. Like, he turns people into paintings. And even you can become a painting at a low, low price of having Ravio live in your house. Well, that's a little off topic. Back to Yuga. Through the entire fight, he sends minions and attacks you in the 3D world, before retreating to the painting world. The fact that this fight takes place in both 2D and 3D is what sells me, and that's why he takes number 1. I hope you enjoy the video. It's something a little new to me, and I'm glad you watched this far. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and like. Hopefully the next video will actually have transitions. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.